My name's Dave Bennett, and I'm here at Jesi Harmon High School in Kansas City, Kansas. And I'm going to share with you about some of the experiences I had with my work through the Research Experiences for Teachers program, through the CEBC, Center for Environmentally Beneficial Catalysis. And I'm here in front of my life science classroom here at Jesi Harmon High School. And I'm also here with my poster that I did as part of that program, and we're going to share a little bit more about the different things that were done related to this and the other projects that we did through the CEBC. Our first year with the Research Experiences for Teachers program, I worked with Dr. Belinda Sturm, and we were researching water resource recovery facilities, formerly called wastewater treatment plants, and the amount of plastics that are retained by those as things are filtered before they're put back into the river after people flush things and things go through those facilities. And so we struggled to figure out ways to filter out plastics and identify plastics in those sorts of treatment centers. And one of the ways that we made this possible for kids is we created a little project where students would look at these kind of products, these cleansing scrubs, which back in 2015, before we did this project, commonly contained plastics. They were little plastic beads, and maybe you've heard about this. They've since been outlawed, maybe thanks to our work, I don't know, but it was a great change that happened, where they don't really sell these in the United States anymore. But back then it was a popular sort of product, and so we tasked the students with this little mini engineering project where they would get a set of materials, and then they would see what they can come up with to extract as many beads as they can. And so then we'd see how much of this stuff they could get out of there. And it was fun. Kids enjoyed that. And I've gone back and shown the CEBC folks that project before, or the new RET folks, and then we had them do some other things like make little water filters, kind of like a mini model of a water resource recovery facility. And finally, we did a project, at least I did a project in my class, thanks to the CEBC and their funding. We got this really nice aquarium, really big aquarium, and with that aquarium I did an experiment looking at how microplastics go through trophic levels. And so once things ingest these microplastics, like these fluorescent ones that they helped us purchase, they then are traced through the trophic levels of a native ecosystem here in Kansas. So we got some Daphnia through the happened to be at the CEBC, and somebody gave us some of their Daphnia, and we wanted to see if those plastics that we put in the water would then get eaten by the Daphnia. And then we also added some minnows and crayfish, which were locally sourced. We've got some crayfish here on our property, and minnows were found in a local lake. And then we also caught a catfish nearby. I had a student catch a catfish for me and bring it in, and that was then put into this big aquarium for a little while. And we wanted to see if those plastics would make it up through that food chain. And so eventually we did check inside that catfish, and we didn't find any. We're using these fluorescent beads, and we weren't able to find any. It did seem like there were plenty inside the the crayfish, however, and so it did seem like it was moving through this system. So that was a project related to microplastics. We're kind of early in on that topic. It's still an important topic. Hopefully people are still going to be looking at that forever, because the plastics are here forever and things are continuing to break down all the time. So I had the chance to come back to the CEBC in 2017 for another RET program, and that year I worked in the lab of Dr. Ted Peltier, and what he was working on at that time was a great project on testing how wetlands filtered runoff from agricultural land. And so we wanted to figure out a way to translate that to students. So CEPC helped us by this great rack for plants, which is used all the time since then to do all kinds of plant experiments. And the experiment that we did back in 2018 with the students that I plan to continue to do again now that we have plenty of wetland plants here on campus was to make a model. And so we designed this model, Jesi, Rhodes, and I designed this model where we put wetland plants in the top part of this, and this would be set at an angle. The soil and other materials would be kept up in that part with this filter, and then down at the bottom we would catch the water and see how, as we add agricultural products here, how much would the wetland plants filter that stuff before it came down here. And so it's a long-term project, a great project for students to investigate different things about runoff and chemicals in water, and how plants and soil can really change the composition of water. And so we use these kits to test the nitrates and nitrites and the ammonia, and it's a great opportunity for students to learn about the nitrogen cycle and all kinds of things about the benefits of wetlands. So on our campus here at Jesi Harmon, we have many acres of land, and as water hits this bowl of this land here, it drains down into into ditches like this that have been built, or these drainage basins, and the water gets put into these drains that have been installed and goes off the property. But as it gets through these many acres of land, it catches a lot of different things, and it can put that water at risk of carrying a lot of things as it goes down into the neighborhoods downstream, where there's Turkey Creek and other bodies of water where there's wildlife. And so we looked at this problem of how we can slow down that water as it catches the different runoff from the land here, which contains fertilizer, which we put here to keep the grass nice and green, and also some of the goose waste that occurs here on this property. We used to have a lot of geese that came here because we had this ditch that ran alongside the area where I'm walking right now, and that ditch would catch a lot of that fertilizer. We've been testing it for years and finding that was a problem. And so we decided, well, what could we put here to help us catch some of that runoff pollution and prevent it from getting into the water and harming the water? How could we filter some of that? And so that was a question posed to the students, and taking the idea of the wetland model that they had seen, they helped design this wetland that we now have here at Jesi Harmon. And so today we've got a nice body of water and plenty of toads and crayfish and millions of plants that we've established here with the help of a large grant from the Environmental Protection Agency. We've established what we call the walk-through wetlands, named after a former teacher here at Jesi Harmon, biology teacher who did great work. And so today, this is a great site for exploration for students. Also, people in the neighborhood come here and get moments of reflection and relaxation, and it provides great habitat for thousands of birds and probably hundreds of thousands of toads and crayfish and millions of insects and many millions of plants that help to filter the water and help to teach people about the benefits of using wetlands and keeping our wetlands and not just building things like schoolyards on top of them. And so this has been a great project that sprang from the work through that we did through the Research Experiences for Teachers program.